We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Baby, you want the payday? I know that. Canelo Alvarez finally breaks his silence after getting cooked by Terence Bud Crawford. In this video, I'm going to break down I Was Born Ready. What Canelo had to say, what does it mean, and overall just give you my thoughts. Lag out. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Canelo fought Terence Crawford. I told you from the beginning I didn't like the fight. I told you that the fight was not going to be good if Canelo were to lose. And he did. And he lost convincingly. I don't beat around the bush. I don't duck or dodge. I'm always going to be truthful. He got cooked. First, we'll find out what he had to say, and then I'll continue with some of my other thoughts, right? I'm very proud of everything that I've accomplished so far. You always want to win, but I accept this defeat with humility and learning. I am grateful to my team for all the sacrifices we have made together all these years. I already won because I have my family with me and millions of fans who have never stopped supporting me. Heart emoji. Finally, thanks to Fernanda, my wife, for her patience and not letting go of my hand during this whole process. Viva Mexico, cabrones. Bro, that Viva Mexico, cabrones is over. You got cooked, bro. My guy. Hey, he got cooked. Yeah, it is what it is. He got cooked. There were certain rounds, like later in the fight, where Crawford was completely saucing Canelo. I'm saucing on you. I'm swagging. Bro, he was styling on the boy Canelo. That is not supposed to happen on paper, given what was at stake, given who Canelo is, and you allowed it to happen. Now, I do think Canelo fought valiantly, but his limitations were put on full display. So I don't think Canelo went out like a sucker, like he wasn't trying to fight. He didn't do like a quote unquote Victor Ortiz, right? Where he packed it in and quit. However, Crawford had him in certain rounds. It looked like he wanted to quit, you know, and I'm not a mind reader or a clairvoyant or whatever, but we do read body language. And there was one round where I think it was a two-piece and a jab from Crawford, and it rocked Canelo's head back, and Canelo just looked like he just turned and almost like he wanted to walk away. Like, I don't know if it was embarrassment, but that moment was optically, from the optics, from the ego eye test, that was not a good moment for you. It looked like you were just deflated, defeated in some of those rounds. And the funny thing is this: you got haters who watch my channel, but somehow they watch all my videos, but they don't really know what I've said. It is the craziest thing, the darnest thing. I never even made a fight prediction for this fight. I only analyzed the fight, the weigh-in, what type of shape. I said Canelo was lean. I said Bud was looking heavy. These are just observations. Never once did I give an actual fight prediction. I teased the Bud buddies because it's hilarious to me, but I never gave a fight prediction. And for that, the fight, I also said, another thing I said was I personally didn't like the fight because I didn't think it would deliver, but I had fun with the fight. So whether I'm right or wrong in that regard, I'll always come clean and always be very transparent with my audience on what I've seen. I didn't think the fight would be that fun. I had no problem with the fight. Now, the Canelo Chupapi Muñeños, the Cinnabons, they are going to cry and say Crawford ran. I mean, that's what they say to black fighters, Cuban fighters, when they don't get their way. We already know. It is what it is. The other thing I said was about Jerron Boots Ennis. I said that's not bad sparring for Canelo Alvarez. There's no way to spin it into a bad thing. These are my statements. You guys can go back if you want. They're on the channel. I don't delete anything. But as far as Canelo, I also told you, and people seem to forget that Boxer Ego said it first. I said if he loses to Crawford, which can happen, right? Which can happen. I said, the other thing I said, I don't see Crawford knocking him out, which didn't happen. And that's the funny thing. You got people jumping up for joy like they won something, jumping up for joy. Oh, I told you. And some of you guys are picking Crawford by a knockout in the first 5 rounds, which didn't even come close to happening. But somehow people are saying, I told you. Hilarious. I said I didn't see Crawford knocking him out. He didn't, right? I said Crawford has a path to victory here. It will be an uphill battle, and he would have to outbox. I said the biggest question is Canelo's size and power. How does Bud deal with that? Period. He wore the weight well. He carried up his attributes like speed, reflexes, and timing. And I told you from the beginning that Bud was a better and more skilled fighter, more dynamic fighter, and that's what was on display. So another thing I mentioned to you guys, I stated that if Canelo were to lose, this was a lose-lose kind of fight for him, not for Crawford. Crawford had everything to gain. Crawford has the thinner resume, and Crawford needed a name like Canelo, and he needed the look and the spotlight and on Netflix. So a bunch of people seen it, all that. That all benefited Crawford because Canelo is the guy with the brand and considered the face of boxing. So I really don't know where Canelo goes from here. I truly don't. To me, I think he's kind of done. Like, this was perhaps one of the most embarrassing outcomes for him. And again, back to the naysayers and the haters. And, oh, ego, right? I told you I didn't care about this fight. Never made a prediction for the fight. And I told you I don't care who wins. May the best man win. There's several videos of me saying this and live streams. I also said that it's not bad if Crawford wins because Canelo is not doing what I wanted to see him do anyway. So he's kind of been holding the belts hostages. And then I referenced Canelo's avoidance of David Benavidez. So believe whatever you want. Leave whatever comment you want. The paycheck is still going to be the same. Shout out to the supporters. Canelo's not fighting. I've said this from the beginning. He's not fighting who I wanted him to fight anyway. Never liked the Crawford fight. The risk paid off for Crawford. Congratulations to him. Canelo, this is what you get for not fighting David Benavidez like Boxer Ego told you. Now you lose to a smaller guy who started at 135, which you look more cooked. The boxing world would have gave you some grace if you lost to a person like David Benavidez. I've interviewed Benavidez multiple times. He's like 6'2", 6'2 and a half. He's big. You said the only thing he carries is 15 extra pounds or whatever. So if you won the fight, obviously your stock would still be high. You would still be the man. But even if you were to lose, no matter how you lost, even if you lost by knockout to David Benavidez, it would have been understood because he's a known beast in these weight classes and he's bigger than you and you're actually older than him. But you picked on this and accepted Turkey's deal and you got a raw deal because Turkey's great friends with Terence Crawford and you picked the dynamic, skilled, Hall of Fame style that was far too clever for you in your slow feet, your cement shoes, right? And he happened to have everything against him. No rehydration clause. There was no weight stipulation. He came up to you. He started at a lighter division than you ever started. He also, Crawford, was the B side. So he got less money. Everything was against Crawford. Everything. Except for Turkey, perhaps. But everything else, especially physically in the bout, was against him. He's also older than Canelo. So Canelo, I mean, good luck. You might as well just go golf permanently. You know what I mean? Do a farewell fight in Mexico. Because I'm not even being funny. I really don't see where Canelo goes. I mean, I know he has hardcore fans, but his fans have to be disappointed watching him get filleted by Terence Crawford, a smaller man. Everybody respected Crawford and his ability to fight, but what he did was sensational, and he really chopped you up, especially in the later rounds. So I'm not even being funny. I don't know where Canelo can go. Like, what else can you topple? Like, you just got cooked by a welterweight, bro. The world wanted to see you do a beat, and that's another thing. It's ironic to see people say, "Oh, Boxing Ego, you were hoping Canelo won," as if Boxing Ego has been this diehard Canelo dude that has not held Canelo's feet to the fire. I told you I wanted to see him fight David Benavidez. Fact. I told you that he should have rematched Bivol right after he lost. Fact. Especially after he claims he beat Bivol. But again, Canelo didn't do any of these things. He was self-serving and making decisions that benefited him and line his bank account. So for that, since you're not doing what's right for boxing, I could care less if you win or lose, especially a loss. Terence Crawford relieved the game because now he has some grace, or a grace period. He could rest. Maybe he vacates the belt. I don't know if he wants to keep fighting at 68. He talked about maybe going to 160. So to be honest, I'm happy. I'm happy Crawford won because the belts were being held hostage. Now that Crawford has them, he may not choose to stay in this division. And if he doesn't, then it'll free up all this belts and we can start over at 168. And then Diego Pacheco, Mbili, you know, guys like that, Resendez maybe, and Crawford if he stays there, Hamza Shiraz, right? These new breed of fighters can start fighting each other and we could start getting those belts flowing. So again, it's a good thing for boxing because the belts at 68 were being held hostage by Canelo, and Canelo wasn't fighting the people the public was demanding. I never wanted to see Canelo versus Munguia or Berlanga or John Ryder or, you know, virtually any of those fights he was fighting. William Skull. I didn't pick those fights. And I said that in real time. Don't take my word for it. Take my word for it. I don't care. My art, my videos, they're all up. You guys could take a listen to them. So Bud winning actually relieved the game of the belts being suppressed and held hostage. So I don't know why people would put smut on my name and say otherwise. But as far as this looked crazy. This threw me off. I'm so done. This looked crazy right now. That threw me all the way off. As far as Canelo Alvarez, again, I know he has diehard fans. I really don't see where the boy goes. I really don't, because you really just got cooked, bro. You got cooked. And if you would have did what Boxing Ego said, win, lose, or draw, you would have got a lot of respect for fighting Benavidez. Even if you fought Bivol at 175, it would have been better to lose again to Bivol than to lose again to pretty much a welterweight, lightweight / welterweight, with only one pit stop at 54, who had to do this crazy video game jump, right? This was you may have gotten a lot of money. See, this is what I try to tell y'all about the business. Money is cool. Money is great, but you gotta play your cards right. Canelo, now that is all said and done, and we've gotten through the fight, Canelo has effed up royally. Just think, I'm just talking about from the business perspective. You guys could say, oh, the best versus the best, whatever. Crawford, until now, hadn't proven he's the best at that division because he had no fights there. It's impossible. He was a pound for pound number 1 or 2, 3, wherever you guys put him, but he hadn't proven his worth up until Saturday in this new division. So Canelo assumed all the risk, and he even said it before the fight, but he went with the money. He was working with PBC. He had a Jake Paul fight that was on the line and pretty much about to be signed, and he bailed out the last minute. I'm just talking from a business perspective. You could have fought Jake Paul. If you beat him, then the boxing world would be like, thank you, because some people don't like Jake Paul, and you would have made a lot of money. The fight still was going to be on Netflix, and you would have been done, and then you could go back to fighting whoever, Hamza Shiraz or whatever, blah, 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 and you could have kept winning, right? Or you could have did, if you don't want the novelty fight with Jake Paul, you could have fought Hamza Shiraz, got some respect. He just looked good against your former opponent, Berlanga. You could have fought, more importantly, the guy I've been saying, David Benavidez. Win, lose, or draw, you would have got a lot of respect there. Like, what's the point of not fighting Benavidez and losing your belts potentially? That's the worst that can happen, is lose, take a loss, lose your belt, maybe get knocked out, right? But there would have been an upside for Canelo. There would have been an upside because if you were the first to beat Benavidez, you beat a man, and everyone would have respected it. And to me, I think it would have been a bigger fight. On paper, people were asking for the fight, unlike the Crawford fight. Or even if you fought Bivol, right? You could have fought Bivol, Dimitri Bivol, and you would have got a lot of respect if you beat him in the rematch, right? Even if you lost, you would have been cool because you didn't have no belts at 175. And people would just be like, hey, 175 is not his true division. He tried and he lost again. But you literally picked the worst because it was the smallest person, right? So it was considered somebody, you were cherry picking from below you, even though Crawford proved that he's not an actual cherry pick because he won. But it was like almost like a cherry pick gone wrong. You thought you could pick on another smaller person and it was going to be like the Jermell Charlo fight. So I'm happy for Crawford. I'm happy for what he's done. I'm not going to be apologetic about that because he did us a favor. Canelo wasn't doing and making the right decisions anyway. And I'd rather see the belt in the hands of an American who at least has the bravado and the nuts to possibly fight the different people, you know, and he's not even obligated to fight some of the same people because we don't know what he wants to do weight wise. But even if he vacates, I still think that's a better thing for boxing because now the belts all go back and get recycled. Canelo was just doing whatever he wanted, keeping the belts warm, and nobody else could get to him. Diego Pacheco, no. Mbili, no. Benavidez, no. David Morrell, no. Fights at 75 with Beterbiev and Bivol, no. Right? So you weren't making really the biggest fights in boxing at all. And that's just the true reality of it. So anybody can say whatever they want about me. I don't care about the outcome. The outcome is kind of funny to me. And I told you it would be. Canelo could say, oh, Viva Mexico, cabrones. Let's see how many people buy tickets to your next fight. Because, again, who you going to fight? No one wants to see the Benavidez fight now. You're going to fight David Morrell. You're going to fight Bivol, who already cooked you. 2 losses in a row in boxing. I don't care if you're a celebrity and like a big star. 2 losses in a row would be catastrophic. So that's what I'm saying. Canelo, he dang near better off retiring. He doesn't look in prime anymore, and you just lost to a smaller person. That's like to be honest, losing to somebody at that deficit weight-wise, with no rehydration clause, no funny business, is almost the equivalent of a respected top-tier pound-for-pound boxer fighting a UFC guy and then losing to the MMA guy. It's kind of the similar severity. Like, you wouldn't expect, and Mayweather wasn't even in his prime when he fought Conor McGregor, but if Mayweather had lost to Conor McGregor, that would have looked bad. Kind of like when Tyson Fury arguably lost to Ngannou, you know, or if AJ lost to Ngannou, this would have looked bad because it's like, hey, this person's studying this discipline since they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and they getting cooked by someone and it's their first boxing event because they're an MMA guy. You know what I mean? This, to me, I don't know how y'all feel, but for me, that's the equivalent. Canelo losing to someone that much smaller, who we seen Gamboa rocked, Gamboa had Crawford more hurt than Canelo did. And then Crawford clowned him. He clowned him. He said post-fight, Mean Machine, he initially said avocado, and he made a mistake. And he was like, but Mean Machine hit harder than Canelo to me. So again, Canelo's trying to, I understand he made a lot of money. Y'all could throw that in my face. Oh, he got more money than you. I mean, he got more money than you leaving the comment too. Money's cool, but if Canelo would have played it better, he would have had the same money, if not more, and he would have been able to extend what he got going on. At least if he were to lose to bigger guys, it would have been understood more. Now Canelo, I really feel it. I feel like now Canelo's kind of cooked, because where do you go from this? You have 0 belts for the first time in like 7 years. You have no belts. You can't hold them hostage anymore. But more importantly, you just lost to a guy with major weight deficit, who some people thought was going to be chinny and wouldn't be able to hold up, would be slower. And not only did he beat you, he was showing out. He was sticking his tongue out. There was times where he beat you at your own game. There were times he was in pocket and Canelo was just getting sauced like, ba, ba, ba. You can't stand the rain. You can't stand you can't stand the rain. I'm talking Crawford was whooping feet. I'm whooping feet. He's Terence Thornton. I'm Terence Crawford. I'm whooping feet. He was out there whooping feet on Canelo in some of them later rounds. And some people thought I wasn't going to give Crawford props. I always give props. If you fight like that, there's only one thing I can say. Bravo. You know what I'm saying? That's the sweet science. I don't have no problem with what Crawford did. So that's my thoughts on it. Canelo, I mean, if you have a different opinion, drop it in the comment section. I really think Canelo almost done. And then not even that, he didn't look in prime, reflexes. You're at the elite level. Who are you going to beat? How are you going to beat Hamza Shiraz even? You know what I mean? I'm not even being funny. How are you going to beat Hamza Shiraz? So he's not as proven as Crawford. He's not on the pound for pound list as Crawford, but he is like 6'4" or whatever his height is. And he throw punches and he's calculated. You're throwing one punch at a time, trying to punch people's arms, and very one-dimensional and flat-footed. Bro, Canelo should retire. He's not the greatest Mexican fighter ever, and he helped solidify it with this loss. There's no one that can tell me that you're the greatest Mexican fighter ever over Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez, Juan Manuel Marquez. Like, even Marquez, bro. Marquez is one of my favorite fighters of all time. You dig? And Marquez, every time he fought Pacquiao, who is top in prime Pacquiao, the ferocious version of Pacquiao, he gave Pacquiao a tough fight. And then it culminated, he punctuated it in the 4th fight by knocking out Pacquiao. So he ended it and stamped it with a legacy defining knockout, right? Legacy. So he could have retired right then. Canelo, his legacy is ending with losing to a welterweight Crawford, who was like stabbing your belly, going upstairs, and had you looking like you almost wanted to quit. And you came in dummy shape. You had Yoelni Hernandez. You look leaner than normal. You look like you prepared for it and took it more serious. Again, I don't know where Canelo truly goes. I'm not trying to kick a man while he's down. I'm just being real. Where does he go from that? All that holding the belt hostage, that was part of your aura. Your aura just took a major hit because that was part of it, being a champion, you know? But now you're not a champion. You have no belts at 175, no belts at 68. I don't think you can make 160 anymore. So you're kind of cooked. And then the fledgling up and comers, you can't really make Canelo get cooked at 75. There's Better Biev, who still got crazy cracks and just fought in prime Bivol, and he's giving them tough fights. There's Bivol, there's David Benavidez, there's Anthony Yard, and David Morrell, and that tough Russian dude that dropped David Morrell. You got guys like that. Canelo throwing one punch at a time, loading up. and not throwing. How can Canelo beat that Russian dude that David Morrell beat fighting like that? Like how you looked with William Skull. Bro, if Canelo keeps fighting, he gonna get knocked out. He gonna be one of them. He gonna be like a iron chin person like Margarito who ends up getting knocked out a lot if he keeps fighting. Unless he keeps fighting, but he's not fighting the best. I'm being so sincere with you. Canelo he's probably better off retiring. Unless you guys got a better idea. Even at 68, I think Hamza Shiraz fights and stuff like that, you're gonna end up not even just getting knocked out if it's at 68, but it looked like Crawford was about to knock you out in round 11 and 12, right? Not even just getting knocked out, but Canelo is going to take more damage and or just end up putting people on, so to speak. Like if you get outboxed by Hamza Shiraz or hurt by Hamza Shiraz and then lose a decision, you're really just putting people on. So Canelo's had a lengthy career. He's done a lot. But what I'm seeing is not favorable to the boxer. Yes, he's younger than Crawford, but I told you going into the fight, he has more mileage on him. You don't understand boxing. I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. You don't understand. Crawford never been beat up. He's been preserving himself. He doesn't have the same resume as Canelo. He's fought one time a year, so he's not at 38. He's younger boxing years wise than a guy like Canelo, who has 65 fights, 65 plus training camps, fighting 3 fights with Golovkin. Just fighting Golovkin one time in his prime is going to it's going to add some years onto your boxing career because he's hitting too hard and you had to endure that because Canelo got a chin. I'm trying to tell y'all, the prognosis is not looking good for Canelo. Let me know what you think. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.